go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Saravia at the movies. So today we're briefly going to talk about a 1985 werewolf film called Silver Bullet. And this was of course based on Stephen King's Cycle of the Werewolf. I first saw this film back in the 80s. I don't know if this was something we rented as a family or if it was something playing on cable. So I had acquired this over a year ago, the Stephen King movie and TV collection. And in it, it has Silver Bullet, in addition to a few others I haven't really seen, such as the Langoliers, the Golden Ears, etc. So, decided to take a look at this again. So, I remember enjoying Silver Bullet back in the day. I think when I was younger, I thought it was sort of a little thrilling, a little scary. Watching it today, I mostly just see it as tongue-in-cheek. It's just pretty much a comedy in many ways. It's set in a town in Maine, and there's a werewolf that is killing quite a few of the citizens in this small town. And Corey Haim plays this kid with who's disabled. He rides around in an electric wheelchair called the Silver Bullet, hence the title of the film, in addition to being, of course, later on as the film progresses, a silver bullet is, of course, needed to kill this werewolf. And, Megan Follows plays his sister, Corey Haim. There's also an uncle who is not very well liked by his sister, and he's played by Gary Busey. And Gary Busey doesn't believe this kid at all. At first, Gary Busey's character, interestingly enough, is depicted as a drunk uncle and a bit of a problem, and the sister doesn't really care for him, and so on. But after a while, then it's all forgotten, and suddenly he's okay. So I didn't quite get that transition. I don't know where the transition was, but he's suddenly healthy and boisterous, full of energy. And Gary Busey makes an enhanced wheelchair for Corey Haim's character. So anyway, the story as it proceeds, there are people killed by this werewolf. The sheriff in town is played by Terry O'Quinn, who I didn't realize was in this picture. And the Reverend is Everett McGill. And, spoiler alert, of course, the Reverend is the werewolf. And at one point, Corey Haim's character, he gets all these fireworks from his uncle. And he takes off in the middle of the night and rides his wheelchair down to this area by the woods, shoots off these fireworks, and spots the werewolf. He's scared to death. The werewolf comes after him, and he shoots one of the rockets from the fireworks into the werewolf's eye. So the next day, he tells his sister, who doesn't always like taking care of him, but she's kind of his caretaker in many ways, or caregiver, if you like, and says, why don't you go in town and collect cans like you normally do? I think she normally was doing that, to give to some sort of charity, and see who has an injury on their left eye, because then he'll know who's the werewolf, and then this problem can be solved. And eventually she spots the Reverend and notices he has a bandage on his left eye. So the movie Silver Bullet is fun. I mean, it's an entertaining movie, and it glides by its 94-minute screen time pretty quickly. I guess I wish there was a little more character development in here. It just seems that characters are introduced and they're not given enough development at all, enough traits to really identify with. They just sort of exist as archetypes, of a small town. Oh, we need to get our rifles and kill this threat and that sort of thing. But overall, it's a fun movie. I don't really take it seriously as a horror picture, hence why I said it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's sort of like The Howling. Howling I never really took seriously either. I think it is a horror comedy or comedy horror. I'm sure there's a distinction. I've never quite... I guess you could say more comedic than scary. Although The Howling is quite effective as a horror picture as well. This movie just succeeds as a comical picture. I don't really think... I think the horror is very muted. And this werewolf is, of course dangerous, but it looks like a bear in certain shots and so on. But the transformation scene was pretty good. I guess I still have a preference over The Howling and The Wolfman as the best werewolf pictures ever made. So I like Cycle of the Werewolf probably a little bit more than the adaptation, but on the whole, this is a fun movie. Don't take it seriously. If you haven't seen it, check it out. You may like it. A chance to see the late Corey Haim in one of his better roles, I think, outside of The Lost Boys. And you get to see Terry O'Quinn. I mean, if you love horror, you've got some actors here, especially Everett McGill from Twin Peaks and various other films like People Under the Stairs, who is very effective. In fact, he has a nightmare in one scene where the entire townsfolk who are in church, they all turn into werewolves. So pretty effective stuff, I thought. A decent, goofy movie, I think. I don't really, you can't take it seriously. It's not like other Stephen King adaptations. It's not The Shining, don't expect that, or Cujo. But it's definitely miles ahead of Firestarter if we're talking about in the 1980s as far as Stephen King adaptations are concerned. And I'm glad I have it. So, but in this same box set, if some of you have caught up with my stuff from the past, I reviewed Graveyard Shift, and I have to deal with the fact that I have that. It's a terrible film. And by the way, Short Story wasn't much better. A little bit better, but not by much. But I would say Cycle of the Werewolf is a lot more fun to read, but the film is funny. And I like Gary Busey in it. I still wish it was a little more character development overall, but basically just a standard issue werewolf movie, but with a lot more humor than even I remembered. So it's interesting. So what are your thoughts? Do you like Silver Bullet? Have you read Cycle of the Werewolf? I think that existed as a comic strip, or a comic book to some degree, a graphic novel, I guess, whatever. But anyway, what do you think of Silver Bullet, of Corey Haim, any of the actors I mentioned, especially Gary Busey? What werewolf movies do you like? Is this among some of the better ones you've seen, or one of the worst ones? Who knows? Lend me your thoughts. Thanks to all who have subscribed to my channel. And I guess that's about it. We'll return with more videos very soon. And if you are a subscriber, please hit that notification bell for future uploads. And this is Jerry Saravia at the Movies, signing off.